Minnesota Vikings. And boy, they had some changes. Some. All right. They got a new quarterback. Instead of having their usual three, they have Bradford, Bridgewater, and Keenum. They let all three of them go and now have Kirk Cousins, who they paid quite some money for. And he's hoping to be the star for hopefully the next 3 years and beyond. And I actually like this guy. I do like Cousins, but I'll go on it later. At running back, now the star is going to be Dalvin Cook, who's recovered from a torn ACL. They let McKinnon go. They're also going to have Latavius Murray also share some carries while Cook steadily recovers from that torn ACL. In that receiver, you have Adam Thielen, who's emerged as one of the better wide receivers, and Stephon Diggs. There's a bit of a competition for the third wide receiver. They got some players that they'll try out. One of them they have is Laquan Treadwell. They also have Kendall Wright that they signed, and Tavarius King. But those are just some of the players I named off the top of my head. All right, and at tight end they have Kyle Rudolph, who has emerged to a very solid possession, red zone, and even third down converting tight end. The offensive line is what have really made some improvements in 2017, and it continues to make some improvements. Left tackle being Riley Riff. I think right tackle is going to be a little bit of competition because I think they're kicking Mike Renners inside to guard. And, of course, they also have Pat Eiflin and Nick Eason also manning interior. Overall, this is a very good offense. Hopefully, Kirk Cousins doesn't screw up big time. And, they do have a new offensive coordinator. Unfortunately, they have Pat Shermer, but now he's with New York as a new head coach. So, hopefully, they'll continue to have a better functioning offense with their new coordinator. They're still... the offensive line overall is still pretty good, even though they lost. Even though they will be kicking Mike Remmers to the interior, and I think it's right now. I want to say it's Rashad Hill, but they also might try Compton, Storm Norton, etc. at those tackle positions. Kind of get some competition going, and still keep up with validity. Though I do like having Kirk Cousins be that quarterback. Quarterback. He was a very good quarterback. Some people call him really mediocre, even more mediocre than Alex Smith, but I don't see it. Because Alex Smith, for once, had a 4,000-yard season for the first time in his entire career. And ever since Cousins been a full-time starter for the Redskins, he's hit 4,000 yards all 3 years. And even was in the top 5 passing in 2016 with 4,912 passing yards. So, I think he is a very talented quarterback, very good passer. I think he'll have a very nice rebound here with, probably stating the obvious here, and that his wide receivers won't suck like they did in 2017. And there's a lot of hope for. There is plenty of reason why that the Minnesota offense will work on. I think even Dalvin Cook will be back and should play very, very well for the Minnesota Vikings, getting back to his greatness that he had early in the season. And I do think Adam Thielen's number one wide receiver, not Diggs, even though he did the Minnesota Miracle. And looking at defensive line, you have Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter being your edge rushers with some slight rotation here or there. They drafted a few players, and it's pretty interesting to see. But it's still the Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin show. And interior, it's Linval Joseph, and I believe it's going to be Jaleel Johnson, who they drafted last season. Oh, I'm sorry. They also signed Sheldon Richardson. So, once again, making the rich even richer. Looking at the linebacking core, you have Anthony Barr with Eric Kendricks, always always a more talented duo. They do have a third linebacker, but it's not really necessary. They like to do a little more nickel back. And besides, it's more of the Anthony Barr, and Eric Kendrick show. Looking at their corners, of course, you have Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes closed. And the outside with interior, still Terrence Newman, surprisingly. Although they'll try and get some other players, some playing time in that slot role. I mean, right now they also got Mackenzie Alexander and a couple other players. They did draft Mike Hughes, surprisingly, with the first round pick. So he's probably going to play the slot, and that could push Mackenzie Alexander to being out of the team. At safety, you still have Harrison Smith, I believe Andrew Sendejo at safety. And overall, this is still a very good defense. When they got Sheldon Richardson, now to pair up with Griffin and Joseph as well as Hunter, that's a very good front four. Very similar to what they had back in 2009 when they had Jared Allen, Ray Edwards, and the Williams Wall, and the Williams brother. Well, okay, they weren't brothers, but the Williams Wall. The linebacking core, I think, is a lot better in this team than it was back in 19 because I think all they had really was Chad Greenway and both the Hendersons, EJ and Aaron. But I really do like Kendricks and Barr. Both of them are very talented linebackers. And even the secondary, Xavier Rhodes is definitely a very great corner. I do like watching his play style. Even though he did have a bit of struggle here or there, he's still a very dominant corner. Trey Waynes is an all right compliment. I'm not going to say he's one of the best compliments because he isn't. He's a bit grabby. He sometimes commits one too many penalties for you want out of a corner. I do see, although it was very, very, very much surprising to see this team draft Mike Hughes in the first round at slot corner. I thought corner was very much solidified for them, especially in the slot, with Newman as well as Mackenzie Alexander. And knowing Zimmer's take on young corners, I don't really think Mike Hughes is going to play that much this season. I think he's going to be sitting on the bench for a good portion of his time until he thinks he's ready. I mean, Trey Waynes sat on the bench for some time until time was right to throw him in the starting lineup. And even when he was a defensive coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals, when they had Darqueze Dennard, he sat on the bench for a while until he was thrown to the starters. But then again, Zimmer was already gone by that point when Dennard started. And I really do like this team. They had a very good. I mean, for a legitimate second, I thought this team was actually going to be the first team in NFL history to play in the Super Bowl while their city is hosting it. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. Very, very tragic, very tragic. But it didn't happen because they remembered their Vikings kind of choked in the NFC Championship and ended up, but it still did pretty well. It's not going to be as much a cakewalk this season for the Vikings because I think they're going to have a healthy Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is still very much likely a playoff team, but I'm very curious to see how they handle a healthy Rodgers. If Rodgers can play all 16 games, how is this going to affect the Minnesota Vikings and how this team and how they'll handle it as such? Because I really do like this team. I think they'll do very, very well this season. But again, it matters, how well Kirk Cousins is going to function his offense, how the offensive coordinator is going to do with this offense, because it's a different coordinator. It's not Pat Shermer. Shermer's with the Giants. I think it's like Joe DeFlippo, I think, when I looked at it. And of course, they do have a tough schedule. Outside playing the Packers twice, they have to also play the Eagles again, the Rams, the Saints, the Niners. Again, I'm not going in no particular order. And the Bears, who have improved well. I'm going to give them credit where credit's due. And the New England Patriots. So they do have a bit of a tough schedule. I do like to see them going 10-6, 11-5, trying to see. I think their placement is probably going to matter to how they do against the Green Bay Packers. If they split or something like that. because it's a very tough. They're always a tough team. I do like the Packers a lot. They always prove a tough challenge for them, even when the Vikings do seem to be at their best. I am pretty disappointed that the game against the Patriots is not a primetime game. It's a 4:25 game, but I could honestly see that game being flexed. Yeah, I see this team probably going 11-5, 10-6. I think Cousins going to do well. I do like to see Dalvin Cook being the main running back. I think he'll work well with both Thielen and Diggs. Also, what going to do on that defense is going to be spectacular. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be huge.